Good afternoon, all, and welcome to the Wealthscope for Advisors breakout session at the Canadian Advisor Tech Expo 2023. Thank you for joining me today to discuss how Wealthscope for Advisors interactive tools can help automate your portfolio reviews and ultimately give you an edge when it comes to building relationships with clients and driving client retention in a competitive market. And to show my appreciation for your time, we're going to try to ensure that things are simple and engaging. So let's start by laying out some expectations for the session. So we'll first start with briefly going over who and what Wealthscope for Advisors is, for those of you who don't know already. Then we'll call out which specific challenges or pain points that we've identified based on our research of the advisor-client relationship, which ultimately drove us to building Wealthscope for Advisors. And as we go through each of these potential challenges, we'll also run through practical applications for Wealthscope portfolio insights to address them and hopefully explain why financial advisors across Canada use Wealthscope to add value to their portfolio reviews and differentiate their services. And to conclude, we'll wrap with a couple reasons as to what makes Wealthscope as a brand and company stand out amongst the crowd of other portfolio insights providers. And as we work through the agenda, the hope is that we're going to be able to explore and learn more about the practical applications of portfolio insights and why they're valuable to clients. And we'll also be able to identify the shortcomings of traditional portfolio insights or inefficiencies when in the absence of portfolio insights and the impact that they have on a financial advisor's business, and ultimately demonstrate Wealthscope's ability to supplement and support financial advisors with these issues. And now we understand that, some of the audience in here might already be providing portfolio reviews and portfolio insights to their clients, and maybe you're looking for a software or tool to help streamline your processes. So that's fantastic that Wealthscope is for you. And there might also be some people in the audience who don't use portfolio insights tools or don't provide regular portfolio reviews and are looking to get into that. So that's why we're taking this approach of laying the foundation of what portfolio insights are, what gaps they address and what challenges arise in the absence of portfolio insights. And then we'll get into some more specific demonstrations and use cases after that. So it's going to be a comprehensive presentation. Now, without further ado, just to introduce Wealthscope, we are a cloud-based software as a service business which delivers powerful portfolio insights backed by award-winning finance expertise, which is then packaged into proprietary tools to ultimately help improve investor outcomes. And I think that our CEO, Pauline Chum-Nolan, said it best, and she put it very simply. We're just a team of wealth tech enthusiasts with a common goal of making portfolio analysis and planning modern, robust, and accessible. This is what we come to do at work every single day. Not only do we have PhDs, developers who are CFAs, and others on the team who are educated in finance, but each of us is enthusiastic about personal finance and portfolio management. And that means with Wealthscope, you get access to an app built by a team who is thorough, who cares, and who will be responsive to your needs and your requests. You don't just have to take my word for it. Whether you've known it's us or not, many of you have likely come across Wealthscope Portfolio Insights, either being featured in popular industry publications such as the Globe and Mail, Yahoo Finance, and even the latest OSC Test Lab report, or being leveraged by top brokerages and institutions such as Qtrade or CI Direct Trading, who rely on Wealthscope to deliver quality portfolio insights to their users. To help the audience understand why we decided to build Wealthscope for Advisors, let's evaluate some of the common challenges or inefficiencies that we identified in the client-advisor communication chain, specifically related to portfolio-level information sharing and responding to client investment inquiries. Keep in mind as we go through this, these pain points were identified through thorough research and over years of speaking with financial advisors who have used our platform. At a high level, we group these challenges into 6 key themes or areas of inefficiency. The first one being responsive advice. So how do we remain responsive while still maintaining that high standard, high quality of advice? And the next one being, consistently engaging clients throughout the year. There's not always things to engage clients with, but we know that client engagement leads to client satisfaction, leads to client loyalty. So how do we consistently engage clients is a challenge. Next one being client education, right? How do we fulfill that commitment to growing and building our clients' financial literacy? That's always a challenge. This one's a timely one, market volatility. So when markets are volatile or uncertain, how do we deal with the increased number of client inquiries and potential emotional responses from clients? Of course, there's regulatory scrutiny, or for lack of a better word, compliance, and for our presentation, KYP due diligence. We're always looking for ways to streamline those processes as advisors. And the last one is delivering personalized advice at scale. So how do we, make it feel like this advice is tailored to the client while still delivering that type of service to a large client book with diverse needs, right? And so we'll break each of these down more specifically throughout the presentation, but this is meant to lay the foundation for the demos and the practical applications of portfolio insights, and then later how Wealthscope can be used to enhance your client services tremendously by addressing these areas. And what you might have noticed is that these fall under three main buckets. So a theme surrounding time and effort, a theme surrounding the delivery of the advice, and a theme surrounding compliance. So that's how we'll kind of move our way through this presentation and explore these different challenge areas. Let's start by examining the time and effort inefficiencies and challenges that we've identified in the absence of portfolio insights. This bucket has a significant impact on client loyalty and retention. So things like delivering responsive advice, proactively communicating amidst market volatility, and consistently engaging clients with thoughtful content and portfolio reviews are all crucial to delivering high quality services that foster trust in clients and keep them valuing your service for years to come. However, each of these objectives comes with their own specific challenges, and what we've come to realize is that when these processes are not optimized, they can drag down productivity and become tasks that require extensive resources at the opportunity cost of your time and energy that you could be putting into growing your business. So for example, a portfolio review that you complete with your client on a semi-annual basis. This is an example of consistent client communications. Now, Wealthscope for Advisors users use portfolio reviews to initiate productive conversations with their clients about their investments and to ensure that their clients remain engaged and feel their advisor is taking a proactive approach. Similarly, Wealthscope for Advisors users also use portfolio reviews to address market volatility concerns amongst their clients and provide the necessary reassurance and education to help clients understand market cycles and relative performance. Now, obviously, doing any of this manually would require you to pull data into a spreadsheet, crunch the numbers, and formulate your recommendations. Amongst a couple of other challenges, with Wealthscope for Advisors, we automate these steps for you. So now let's take a look at how we can do this with the Wealthscope Portfolio Scorecard. We'll see how we can use Wealthscope to increase productivity, streamline portfolio reviews, and generate content and materials that will not only keep clients engaged, but have them reassured by your proactive approach. And you can see, using our aggregation service, you can have Wealthscope provide you with daily updates of your clients' accounts, meaning there's no need for you to pull or extract data from other software. We'll lay out all the information for you right here on the Wealthscope dashboard. And sticking with that practical example of a portfolio review, let's say myself and my client Camilla complete a semi-annual review of her self-directed TFSA as a routine. So you can see I have all of this information here, her portfolio holdings, as well as just generally her asset allocation. But if I did want to complete a portfolio review, what I'd do is I'd click the Analyze button here, and you can see I have a pretty comprehensive overview of her portfolio. I have the holdings again, an overall score, as well as the more granular evaluations of her portfolio of these 5 or 6, depending on the portfolio strategy factors, right? And so what I can do as the advisor is I can use this control panel in order to customize the information that I would like to share with Camilla and to make it align with the type of recommendations and information we're going to go over. So for example, I know that Camilla is not looking to generate income with this portfolio. So I might click off the include income score, and we can see that dynamically affecting the analysis. As well, let's say, we don't rebalance it monthly, we rebalance it quarterly, so I can change that. Doesn't have an impact on the score, but we do have that flexibility to make that change. And now, sticking with the theme of market volatility and this portfolio review, we can use the recent history in the markets as a precursor. I know that Camilla might have some concerns as to why her portfolio has been down compared to last year. And I might want to use this visualization, the hypothetical portfolio history chart, to make the point that, typically, actually historically over the long term, this portfolio has been quite resilient. Even during periods of crisis, as we in Wealthscope identify with these gray bars. We can see the portfolio over time has been quite resistant as compared to its closest comparable benchmark, and that yes, okay, it's come down in the past year, but it's actually recovered a little bit more than the benchmark. And so these are the types of things that we can call out using this visualization. Of course, that's very helpful, but what we can also do is we can also click into these individual tabs and then take a little bit more of a specific look. So if I needed to, I could make the point that for this portfolio, the downside risk has actually been less than the closest comparable benchmark. We can see that in the total risk. We can see that in the downside risk. We can see that in the downside capture. And then if I go ahead and I show the performance metrics, I can see that this portfolio actually has a higher annualized return despite the lower risk, as well as better risk to reward ratios across the board, which makes sense. So these are the types of metrics that we can explain to our client, coupled with the data visualization, to get that point across about a long-term perspective, reassuring them about market volatility and uncertainty going forward, that we've taken the right steps to make sure that this portfolio is resilient, and sure, we can make some tweaks depending on perhaps your goals, but this allows you to create that reassurance, and not only create it, but create it efficiently and answer these client inquiries efficiently. So this is just one example of how we can use the Wealthscope portfolio scorecard to consistently engage clients with portfolio reviews, and also help reassure them during times of market uncertainty where their emotions might be high and they will be expecting, responsive advice, but still reassuring advice. Let's also use a quick client inquiry to explore how Wealthscope can help advisors' research process, thereby improving responsiveness when clients reach out with questions regarding their investments. So say we receive an inquiry from a client who's been following the news, and they're really interested in Apple because of their recent developments they've been seeing. Like, Apple has banking products now, they're doing buy now, pay later, and they just released their iPhone 15, right? So they're doing pretty well. However, your client is asking what their level of exposure to Apple is and if they should actually increase their exposure. Now, when we get an inquiry like this, if we don't have the data and we don't have a tool, it's going to take a lot of time, and it's going to take a lot of effort for us to pull the numbers and calculate their exposures. And that has a lag on our ability to be responsive and give that quick, reliable delivery that our clients are expecting from us. But when we use Wealthscope, all I have to do is type in the ticker here, click the button, and we're going to sift through all of this client's accounts and compute the actual exposure this client has to Apple. So we can see that Apple accounts for about 1.4% of their holdings, around $5,000 worth of market value, and is located in 2 of their accounts. Now, does this client hold Apple directly? Oh no, it looks like they don't. But do they hold it indirectly? Yes, they do. So they hold Apple in various ETFs that they hold in these 2 investment accounts that they have with us. And so that is probably why they're asking us this question about their exposure to Apple and if they should increase it. They're likely not aware that they do have indirect exposures to Apple through the ETFs that we've set them up with. And so this is a type of quality analysis and insights that you can expect with Wealthscope products, and you can see how fast that was. So we're able to quickly punch the stock into Wealthscope's stock exposure lookup tool, find the information, then quickly turn around and flip it over to the client, and along with some commentary, whatever advice you would want to give them, you can provide. And this is meant to expedite your research process and improve the delivery of the advice, right? The way that this is broken down, and then supplement the commentary that you would like to provide your clients. So that's just an example, again, of how Wealthscope and Quality Portfolio Insights tools might be able to solve inefficiencies relating to time and effort challenges when it comes to client inquiries. By now, we've covered the relevant challenges relating to loss of time and high effort when it comes to communicating with clients about portfolios. Now, we'll transition into the inefficiencies that we identified relating to advice delivery. Similar to the previous bucket, these challenges will also have a significant impact on client satisfaction and retention. Providing personalized advice, and tailoring a delivery that embraces a commitment to enhancing clients' financial literacy is proven not only to contribute meaningfully to long-term trust, but it can also lead to more business growth opportunities in the future, as clients will be more likely to refer their friends and family to your firm. Now, that said, successful delivery is an art, and it takes constant iteration to perfect it at scale. So, for example, how can we initiate a dynamic and productive conversation with a client who is approaching retirement? To deliver this personalized advice, an advisor must take time to understand the person's retirement goals, lifestyle, and current financial situation. However, with Wealthscope's dynamic integrated planning tools, financial advisors are able to have a nuanced discussion with the client and truly accelerate the rate at which we can deliver personalized advice at scale. To exemplify how Wealthscope enhances your ability to deliver personalized advice, let's look at our newest integrated planning tool, the probability of ruin. This tool in specific frames well for someone who's approaching retirement. We might use it during discussions about their drawdown strategy or even their savings target ahead of their retirement date. In a nutshell, the tool is going to help understand risk profile versus risk capacity. Let's say this person's target retirement age is 65, their target retirement savings is $850,000, and their target withdrawal per year indexed to inflation is $85,000. And let's explore a scenario where we use our core portfolio 4 as the post-retirement investment vehicle. When I click calculate, Wealthscope is going to simulate 10,000 outcomes for this person based on these inputs, right? And so what it's telling us is that the probability this person will outlive their money is 70%. So not a favorable probability, right? But Wealthscope doesn't stop there. We want to further contextualize this and tell a story to the client about this potential scenario, right? So we use this table to explore the different intervals of ruin scenarios as well as the median. And we also use this visualization so that at a glance they can see that in the majority of scenarios they are outliving their money, right? But if we take a look here, so median years is 9.5, right? So is this client okay with living without their retirement savings for an additional 9 years? Probably not. And in the highest frequency scenario, where there's a 19.46% frequency, they are outliving their money by 6 to 10 years, right? So again, not favorable at all. And what we do is we provide a next step, right? So if you want to target a 5% probability of ruin, you can withdraw no more than 46,000 roughly. So now we can see, okay, let's say we change an input here. Let's say we do 45,000, for example. And we could have also changed the savings target. We could have also changed the portfolio, but just for demonstration purposes, let's see how dynamic Wealthscope is in generating these inputs. So we can see that just based on changing that one input, the outcome is vastly different. And so this is the type of advice that we can show our client and educate them about the decisions that we make leading up to retirement and how they actually impact their ability to live comfortably, right? So this is just another example of how we can use Wealthscope to deliver personalized advice at scale because of how efficient it is at generating these types of inputs and then allowing you to then share them with clients and initiate these types of discussions. So the previous tool was a prime example of how Wealthscope's integrated planning tools can be used to personalize the portfolio and financial planning advice that you're providing to your client at scale. Now let's look at a different example, which is how we can use Wealthscope to enhance your ability to educate clients on a portfolio level approach and their portfolio strategy in general. So focusing on that other component, client education, which is part of our advice delivery challenge. For example, let's say a client has expressed a lot of interest in adding cryptocurrency assets to their investments. They've investigated, the recent rally of Bitcoin, and they believe it'll be smart to have some exposure to this. To address their inquiry, let's use Wealthscope to take a look at the risk contribution that this type of speculative asset would have on their portfolio. So let's say I've already got their portfolio in Wealthscope and I have set up this portfolio, this hypothetical portfolio, to have a 2.5% allocation to Bitcoin and Ethereum separately. Now we've seen this before. This is the portfolio scorecard. We've also even gone into the controls and the tabs. But to answer this type of inquiry, I might want to go into the diversification tab click the individual perspective, and what we'll be able to see is the risk contribution of the different components in the portfolio. So here we see two pie charts, one showing us the general asset allocation in this portfolio and one showing us the risk contribution of each of the assets held in the portfolio. And so if we take a look at the Bitcoin and Ethereum holdings, we can see, yep, as I said before, the asset allocation generally. But then when we look at the risk contribution, we see that Bitcoin has a 13.11% risk contribution and Ethereum has a 28.09% risk contribution compared to their very small general allocation in the portfolio. And so using these visualizations is also helpful while having these types of numbers, and we can make the point that these speculative investments have an outsized impact on the risk of the portfolio. So now we've seen that example of being able to educate the client with visualizations to explore these types of portfolio ideas with them quickly, and then you can move on to your recommendation as to what allocation, if any, you recommend in terms of buying cryptocurrency and adding it to this portfolio. So just again, Wealthscope scorecards are quick and highly effective at educating clients on complex topics such as diversification, allowing you to deliver personalized advice at scale and enhance your advice delivery using these tools. Now that we've covered the challenges relating to delivering personalized advice at scale and an example of how we can use the Wealthscope portfolio scorecard to educate clients on a portfolio level approach, let's move to the third and final bucket, which covers challenges surrounding compliance. And as it relates to portfolio reviews and insights, let's specifically talk about know your product and supplementing how you might be able to determine suitability in tandem with your KYC software. Everyone here knows that, for a good reason, compliance standards are always evolving and regulators continue to push towards higher expectations. While this is necessary, without the right processes and automation in place, tracking your compliance efforts can be a real drag on productivity and your ability to engage in servicing your clients. So for this reason, Wealthscope for Advisors users use Wealthscope in order to supplement their KYP processes. The portfolio scorecard allows advisors to not only leverage data to support their recommendations, but also demonstrate an investment and commitment to client best interest. Throughout 2022, we worked as part of the OSC Test Lab initiative to discover how we could better supply KYP tools to advisors to help streamline their compliance objectives. And as a result, we added many new features such as the ability to customize the portfolio scorecard to align with your advice, as you'll see in the screenshot, as well as new integrated goal-based planning tools such as the probability of ruin, which we saw earlier, or even the retirement blueprint summary, which we're seeing here now. And all of these tools are shareable and downloadable, so you can easily share them with clients or upload them to your compliance tracking software. Finally, we've covered who we are at Wealthscope as well as our mission. Then we worked through the common challenges and inefficiencies that we observed in the market in absence of quality portfolio insights. We also saw quite a few practical use cases for Wealthscope for Advisors and how to best use it to optimize time and effort, advice delivery, and KYP compliance workflows. Now, at this point, you might be saying to yourself, well, I already use a portfolio management or insight software, or what really makes this software stand out from the rest? So I'll take the last minute or so here to explain why Wealthscope for Advisors is a unique solution that can truly provide you with a competitive edge. And the first advantage is self-explanatory, being that we are a cost-effective solution. Relative to comparable products on the market, Wealthscope comes in at an unbeatable price, as you can see on screen, and we're confident that you will notice a positive ROI by using our software. Next, account aggregation, something that I mentioned but I didn't go into depth about. We have the capacity to quickly ingest your client data and have it refreshed daily. If you work with private funds and proprietary products perhaps, we're also more than capable of working with your fund accountants and broker-dealers to safely ingest this data. We're extremely flexible in this way, which is quite rare in this industry. And I touched on this briefly as well, but our customer service team is responsive and provides quality support in under 24 hours. Not to mention, our team members genuinely do care about this stuff, and we ensure that we're thorough, so you can expect the highest class of customer service and access to the team that is actually building and maintaining this app. Finally, Wealthscope's modern UI and context clues really set us apart from other softwares. We spend countless hours working on your experience with our software and making it as intuitive and easy as possible. The context clues and data visualizations make it that much easier for you to paint a story behind the numbers and deliver quality advice to your clients. So overall, thank you all again for attending the breakout session. I hope it was informative and that the demos of the practical applications were a good use of your time. I'll now open the floor to any questions, and if you want to have a one-on-one demo with myself of how you might be able to implement Wealthscope Portfolio Insights, please use the link in the booth to book a time that works best for you. And yeah, thanks again.